Deodorant advertisements have to be some of my favorite promotional material that has ever graced our screens. But while they tell a lighthearted and exciting story in these ads, the real story of deodorant is filled with social manipulation, misinformation, and a lot of very questionable substances. Now, I understand for many of us watching this video, deodorant is simply a means to an end and you don't care. But listen, you clicked on the video, you're here now, so we're gonna get into a bit of science. You probably saw that coming, but bear with me here. Turns out, a lot of our sweat doesn't actually smell all that much. But there is a particular kind of gland found in places like the armpit that doesn't just release water and salt when you sweat, but fat and protein. Bacteria then feeds off of that fat and protein, which creates what we know as BO. Yes, this is kind of gross, a little disgusting, but remember that not all bacteria is bad. We need bacteria to survive. And some scientists speculate that we may have evolved specifically to smell the way that we do. Everyone has their own scent profile, and it's known reality that humans use that to help pick a partner, which I guess is the cruel reason why you smell terrible when you're a teenager. It's like peacocking for our ancestors and reverse peacocking for teenagers today. Now, we can't say for sure that that's why we evolved to stink, but it kind of makes sense. And so there is no real reason for all of us to be dependent on deodorants and antiperspirants. In fact, it took a fair amount of manipulation to get everybody on board the deodorant train. Now, I know that we're talking about deodorants and antiperspirants kind of interchangeably here, and yes, they are different things, and we will get into that. But let me just start here. Antiperspirants started popping up in the early 1900s, but they weren't necessarily used like you think. A surgeon developed his own antiperspirant just to keep his hands dry during surgery. It was his teenage daughter, Edna Murphy, who discovered it worked remarkably well for keeping the underarms dry too. She named it Odonoro and spent years trying to figure out how to sell it. But it turns out people in the early 1900s didn't really get it. Ironically, I'm like sweating through my shirt in this episode. That is perfect. What a fitting way to shoot this episode. You have to understand that these were people coming right out of the Victorian era. I mean, they weren't exactly accustomed to discussing bodily functions openly. It took years of fruitless labor and some family support and a stroke of luck involving a sweaty summer conference before Murphy was able to afford a New York advertising agency, where she fatefully came into contact with the now legendary copywriter James Young. James Young is such a dickhead. Let's start there. Along his journey of douchebaggery that was his career, he discovered that he had successfully made sure that every woman knew about Odonoro, or Odonoro. I don't know how to pronounce it, but that's what it looks like. However, only a third actually used the product. It seemed like most people just genuinely didn't mind their natural sweat. And so Young made it his job to make them mind. He did this in the best way that we all know of doing it. He preyed on their insecurities. In 1919, Young published an article in a women's magazine that essentially made the point, if you don't address your body odor, nobody will love you. This tactic, understandably, riled up a lot of people, having insulted every woman in America. But in the end, it worked. Sales went up that year, and by 1927, sales went up to $1 million. Sadly, other advertisers picked up on the success, and it just became the norm to make people feel like shit about themselves in order to sell products. Eventually, they did a similar thing to secure the male demographic, just tweaking things slightly to exploit Depression-era job insecurities with a new message: if you don't address your body odor, nobody will hire you. And so it was that deodorant went from being an almost useless thing that nobody wanted to a $17 billion industry that you almost have to wear if you don't want to be a social outcast that everybody hates because you smell like a smelly doo-doo head.
Hey guys, you don't know me yet, but my name is Cher and I'm the host of Future Proof Health, a new channel dedicated to talking about all things health. I am stoked to be part of this project and also pretty nervous because I've never done anything like this. We just launched, so if you want to be a part of our journey, click the link in the description to check us out. Levi's like, so how do you feel about it? And I'm like, I don't know yet.
Now, of course, before you go yelling in the comments about the deodorant and the antiperspirant thing, we're here. We're acknowledging you. Let's get into it. Deodorants and antiperspirants are two different things. Yes, you're right. They function in different ways, although a lot of the products today are actually a combination of the two. Deodorant is there to kill bacteria, while antiperspirant is there to make sure that you don't sweat in the first place. This anxiety around antiperspirants has been around since the very beginning, and so it is probably time for us to jump into it. Aluminum is the third most common element in the Earth's crust, an element that we are all exposed to on some level, but it is also toxic in high doses and a particular risk to those with kidney disease. Aluminum has a possible, albeit unconfirmed, link to Alzheimer's. Many people are allergic to it, and rumors abound that it can even cause breast cancer. While mainstream medical sources generally don't seem to think that aluminum is present in high enough volumes to be a huge concern for the average person, the research is frustratingly inconclusive at this point. It is fully possible aluminum is doing more to our bodies than we currently understand. And seen as antiperspirant is not at all a medical necessity, many people opt for deodorant instead. Would it not be so great if that was the end of this video? Use your deodorant, everybody. Goodbye. No. Most deodorants today, like your Old Spice and your Schick and your what have you, have these compounds in them which are there to create an unfavorable environment for bacteria, thus minimizing smell. But not all bacteria is created equal, and there's some worry that some deodorants are so aggressive in how they do this that it can actually end up killing good bacteria too, totally altering the composition of your armpit microbiome. The claim is that over time, this can actually make you smellier than when you started, or even lead to immune issues. This particular belief and experience has not been rigorously tested at this point, but personally, I feel like that has been the case for me. You start using a deodorant and at the beginning, it feels great and you smell great, and then there's like a weird point at like the 6-month mark where it kind of stops working as well and you smell terrible. Fun fact, when I was in high school, I once bought every single scent of Axe body spray available at the time for some reason, I don't really know why. And then I would spray myself with a different scent every day to like keep potential mates confused or intrigued or something. I don't actually know how I ever got through that much deodorant. God, and you just spray yourself with it like it was like you were taking a shower. My dad just hated it. Oh, teenagers are awful. On top of all of these things, other questionable ingredients are often included in both mainstream deodorants and antiperspirants, and these are called parabens, a class of synthetic compounds which are used in a range of products from makeup to shampoo. Parabens mimic estrogen and are known to disrupt hormone function and even contribute to breast cancer. This is another one of those things that's okay in small doses, as per the FDA, but when it's pretty much in everything that we use on a daily basis, it could easily compound to become a pretty big problem. Again, mainstream medical wisdom claims that deodorants and antiperspirants are safe to use, but if you want to be on the extra safe side, you may prefer to go natural. Using products with natural ingredients, quote unquote, is going to be a safer bet. But of course, I don't need to tell you that if you are going to use these natural options, there is a chance you are not going to be smelling like the sexy centaur that Old Spice promises you will. Buying natural deodorants can be difficult, to say the least. I have tried a variety of options myself in search of something that wasn't entirely wrapped in plastic and didn't make me smell like an herb garden, and it was tough. Not only are they difficult to figure out if they work or not, but they can also be way more expensive. And big corporate brands have figured this out. Leah, can you grab my deodorant? Can you grab the deodorant for me real quick? Thank you. I am currently using this $12 stick of native deodorant, which is one of the earliest plastic-free, all-natural deodorant options. As you can see, it comes in this sort of cardboard container. And so far, honestly, it's worked pretty well. Sadly, early on, they were bought by Procter & Gamble, who's the same company that owns Old Spice and Gillette and all those other companies. So it's hard to take all of their claims at face value at this point. They are proudly paraben and aluminum free and apparently use simple and effective ingredients. The fact that you can buy them at most big department stores is a huge bonus. And honestly, at this point, they're kind of like the easiest least bad option that I have been able to find so far. The thing is, it just keeps happening. If something good that everybody wants finally starts to get some traction, it seems like the big companies just swoop in and buy it.
Oh, you almost had it. You gotta be quicker than that.
And maybe for this one, it's not the worst option, but it's $12 freaking dollars. That's a very expensive deodorant. So while we have done a lot of research about deodorant in general and helped you maybe understand a little bit more about the issues that may arise with them, we are in no way able to recommend a definite deodorant for you because there are so many options and everyone's body is different. So if there's something that works for you and maybe there's some information that we missed out on, of course, please leave it down in the comments below. And if you liked this video, remember that you can literally like it and maybe subscribe to the channel, and you can come back next week for another episode of Future Proof with this smelly boy. Levi is my name.